As someone who hates wires but loves filming out and about for my YouTube channel, I'm the perfect customer for the Comica VDLive 10 wireless microphone set, but I'm probably the worst person to review it. You see, it does all of this stuff. At least it says it does. But the problem is, I've got no idea what most of it means or how to test it. I'm simply but a humble YouTuber who uses a lav mic and a recorder, and I want to know if I can ditch the wire. First, let me show you what you get in the box. First of all, you have a few little goodies, like a couple of furry little wing guards, a TRRS to TRRS cable, a shoe mount for mounting the receiver to a DSLR or make milk happen, and a charging cable for this box. Inside the box you get 2 mics and 1 receiver, and the box itself is multifunctional as it stores, pairs and charges everything. And in order for me to want to replace the Rode SmartLav Plus and my Evistar recorder, this Comica set needs to be really easy to set up and use, because with this I literally just plug it into my recorder, I hit record, I can see my levels on the screen, I can adjust them with these 2 buttons. It's very simple and easy for someone like me to do. Thankfully then, the Comica set is very easy for me to set up. I literally just turn on the receiver, turn on a mic, plug the receiver into my phone, and I'm ready to record. That's it. And if I want to use my Sony a7 III, I just mount the receiver to the camera, plug in the TRRS cable, and again, that's it. I'm ready to go. But let's rewind for a second and go into more detail. So when I open the box, I can see the battery life for the 2 mics and the receiver here on the receiver itself, which is nice and convenient. Then I turn the receiver on, which takes a second, and you can see the 2 mics, which are both currently off. And when I turn one on, it'll pair automatically, and I can see the signal strength, battery life, volume, and audio levels, which is everything I need. And while they've always paired automatically for me, if they don't for you, just literally put everything in the box, long press on this button, and they should pair. Now, you might have noticed that the on and off switches on the mics themselves have an S and a D, and this is really cool. The S stands for simplex, and this is one-way audio transmission. So audio is sent from the mic to the receiver, and you can plug a pair of 3.5mm headphones into the receiver to check that it sounds all right. And this is pretty standard stuff. But D is duplex, and duplex is two-way audio transmission. This means the receiver will also transmit back to the mic. Why do you want that? Well, the mics also have a 3.5mm headphone jack built in, so when you're out filming alone, it might not be practical to go over to your camera to check the audio. So this allows you to check from the mic itself. This is extremely useful for a lone physique like me, and it works really well. So with either S or D selected, the next thing I need to do is make sure I'm in mono and not stereo. If you're recording with 2 mics and 2 people, then putting it in stereo will give you 1 audio track per mic. But if you're just using 1 mic and you put it in stereo, then you're going to get just 1 audio track. So put it in mono if you're by yourself. Next, I plug the receiver into my iPhone, and this little icon will change to confirm it's connected. But you may have to take your phone out of its case in order to ensure a proper connection. Now, I have a Moment case, and I wouldn't describe this as a particularly thick case, but with it on, it doesn't connect properly. I have to take my phone out of the case, which I don't really like to do. I like my fancy, expensive iPhone 12 Pro protected, but it's not a deal breaker, and once the receiver is connected, it should just work. You can open the stock camera app, press record in the video, and it'll be recording with your Comica Bluetooth mic. Or you can open like a third-party app like Beastcam, Filmic Pro, or Moment, something like that, and go in and fine-tune the gain. And the microphones themselves also have a volume built in, so you get 1 to 4. Anyway, everything is really easy, really quick to set up, very intuitive, but None of that matters if it doesn't work, if the sound quality just isn't there. So let's see how it does. Now, before you listen to these clips, I recommend, if you've not already, put on a pair of headphones. That way you can really hear the differences in the clips. You can hear the nuances and what it really sounds like. So you can get a good, accurate representation of how these mics performs. Here's the clips. So now the stare goes away. The best way I found to get rid of people staring when you're out filming is to either ignore them, or I was going to say stare back at them, but the problem is when you stare back, it invites them to stay, because people's egos are so, especially when they've decided that you owe them this. I don't know, when they've decided, I'm going to be your audience, I have the right to be your audience, I have the right to stand here and watch you because your camera gives me that right. When I see someone without a camera, I wouldn't just stand and stare at them. However, you have a camera and you're putting yourself out there to that camera, so therefore I gain extra rights because of that camera. So that was a typical outdoor filming situation for me, just like sat in a field somewhere, very, very light breeze. Other than that, like the recording conditions were perfect. And as a quick aside, I'm not saying that the Rode SmartLav Plus and the Evistar recorder are like direct competitors for the Comica set. That is just the set that I currently use and I'm going to be like considering replacing with the Comica set. That's why I'm using these for a comparison. And I can't offer you some deep technical analysis of how the mics sound or why they sound like they do. All I can do is just present the results to you and give you my opinion. So unprocessed with the Sony a7 III at the settings that I was using, for me the Comica sounded a little bit too loud. It didn't sound that pleasant because everything was close to clipping, which isn't necessarily the mic's fault. It just means that I set the levels on the Sony a7 III too high, because when I brought the levels down from 3 to 1, things sounded a lot better. Everything is as low as it can possibly be. My levels on the Sony are 1, and the volume on the Comica mic is 1. There's a slight breeze coming through the trees, but nothing that should be interrupting the microphone, especially with the dead cat on. And I wonder how this is going to play out, because I don't mind, you know, usually I'd have my levels at 5 or 7 on the Sony, and I would have, even when the mic's very close to me in the studio, I would have the levels at 5 or 7. Here I feel they may be a little bit more sensitive, especially when using the Sony. So I don't mind, you know, adjusting my workflow if that means I get great quality audio. And this is somewhere where I would be filming. This is somewhere where I film regularly. So I think that sounded great. That's my level of analysis that you're going to get. So what I'm going to do now is just present a load of different clips to you, shot in different situations and different settings for you to hear for yourself. The volume is at 2 on the microphone, the levels on the camera are still at 3, and again, this is not an unreasonable situation. I've recorded in this situation many times if you go back on my channel, and I'm talking as if you're literally right next to me. I'm not projecting for the camera, which is a mistake I used to make. This is actually really annoying because I've come to test these mics and it's like whenever I hit record, the wind just obliterates me, and it happens, not every time, I want to say it happens 8 out of 10 times that I try and record. So you heard that plane there going over, that's a regular occurrence for me. The wind, I've got cows coming over in the field as well. All when I press record, so I'm setting up, I'm fine. There's no one around. I wouldn't set up in a place where I know I'm going to be interrupted. Okay. How good did it sound in the wind? I was like really impressed. But I do have a question though. Like that first clip, I had the volume on the mic 1, and I had the levels on the Sony A7 III 3. But with the clip in the wind, I was talking a lot louder. It was obviously windy, which mics typically hate. And my levels on the Sony A7 III were 5. So why did I not just sound like completely... Why was I not clipping completely? Because in that first clip, I was almost clipping. But in the clip with the wind, I was nowhere near. For me, it sounded a lot better. And then in the second clip with the first settings, so I was in the exact same situation with the exact same settings, yet I sounded a lot better in the second clip. Am I doing something wrong? Is it something with the mics? Like, am I setting it up wrong? I don't know. As I said, I might be the worst person in the world to be reviewing this product, because you might be leaving this review with more questions than answers. Great job, Dave. Anyway, let's see how this set performs with my iPhone, and let's do a range test. This is the iPhone 12 Pro. I'm in Beastcam, and I can see the levels in Beastcam itself are hitting like minus 24, minus 16 then actually. The volume is at 1, and the gain in Beastcam is up to 100%. This is with the iPhone 12 Pro. This is, again, there's no breeze, there's nothing that could upset the microphone. And now this is the built-in app, the built-in camera app on the iPhone 12 Pro. So now it's setting the levels, the audio levels automatically for me. It's choosing which microphone to use. As far as I'm aware, it will detect automatically that there's something, that there's a microphone connected. It does when I've got a wired mic connected, so I expect it to do the same with a Bluetooth mic. So you should be hearing the audio from this. So the mic is turned off now. The receiver is here, so it's not picking up any signal or anything whatsoever. I've got a wired mic connected, so I expect it to do the same with a Bluetooth mic. So you should be hearing the audio from this. Just to be doubly sure, I'll just turn this off as well. And yeah, this is the microphone built in to the iPhone. I'm not sure which one it's using because I'm using the stock camera app, so could be using the back mic, could be using the front one, or the two bottom ones. I've got a wired mic connected, so I expect it to do the same with a Bluetooth mic. So you should be hearing the audio from this. Let's do a distance test. So right now, the iPhone 12 Pro is like 2 feet away from me. Just in case you're wondering, the volume is at 2. I'm in the stock camera app. Hello. I'm in the stock camera app on the iPhone, and I'm literally just gonna walk away. So I don't know really how far away I am. Feet, meters, I don't know, yards even. No idea. So I would say this is about 15 steps away, and this is what I sound like at 15 steps away. And now let's keep going. Micro testing out some in with. Okay, now I would reasonably expect this to stop working now, and let's see if it actually does. Can you even hear me? I just listened back to that last test, and it's very curious how when I'm facing, well, it's not curious, it makes perfect sense actually, when I'm facing the microphone, when I'm facing the camera. Come on, Dave, you can do it. When I'm facing the camera, how it was clear, even though I was all the way over there. But when I had my back to the camera, it didn't work. So today, well, now, what's happening? I'm just going to face the camera and keep talking. So try not to walk in the cow excrement. So I've no idea how far I'm going away. I'm in a little ditch now. I think I got much further away this time than I did last time. I would reasonably expect this to have cut out now. but it didn't on the audio that from the last clip when I was facing the camera. But if I turn away from it, and I turn back, very interested to see how it actually behaves.
A genetic test. If a test reveals a harmful mutation with known ties to autism, the result could give the autistic person and her family an explanation for the condition. Some families also find emotional and practical support from others dealing with the same mutation. The older is karyotyping, the inspection of chromosomes under a microscope. This test reliably detects changes to segments larger than 10 million base pairs. A test called chromosomal microarray analysis identifies duplications or deletions.
So I'm clearly not an expert in any of this stuff, but should a reviewer be an expert in the things that they are reviewing? I don't think so. I just think they need to represent the target audience, to be honest. Whereas the podcast is just someone talking. So that's the whole point of the podcast, of a podcast. So it's perfect. And it's about privacy. Not so much privacy, sorry. It's about filming in public and people's reaction to you filming in public. So after everything you've heard, what do you think? Personally, I really like this set. I think it's well made, well designed. It's easy to set up, easy to use, reliable, stable. The battery life is great. The little wind guards work really well. And I think it sounds great. Seriously, that is the level of analysis that you're going to get. It's great, or it's close to clipping, or great. Nothing in between. I listened to all of those clips that you did with my Sony, what are they called? Sony MDR 7506 headphones, these headphones that I showed you before. Now, apparently these are like the recording industry standard headphones. These are like renowned headphones, which allows me to like hear everything really accurately. And with these on, you guessed it, sounded great. However, there is a however. This set retails for $199 or £145, which is a lot, but I honestly don't have any issues with it. The only thing I want to know is why I sounded different with the same settings in the same situation. Seriously, that's the only thing that I want to know. So will I be leaving my Rode SmartLav Plus and my Evistar recorder at home and switching to the Comica VDLive 10? How many times can I subtly remind myself of the name of the product by reading it? And VD, by the way, in England, it stands for something. Anyway, I think my wired setup sounds better. My voice sounds fuller, partially thanks to the fact that the Evistar is a stereo recorder. Sounds great. It's a lot more discreet than the Comica mics were with those big dead cats and they pull your collar down. But I am really liking the fact that I don't have to worry about the frail and the cable that I get with the Rode SmartLav Plus. It is very, very thin. I'm always worried that it's gonna break. It hasn't so far, but I have to use an adapter with it because it's meant for a smartphone, not a recorder. So I need a TRRS to TRS adapter, which is another thing sticking out. And I'm always conscious of like having it in my pocket, and I squat down, which puts pressure on it, and it snaps. I'm always have that in my mind, and if that happened, things would just be ruined. So yeah, what I'm going to do is for the next few videos, I'm going to be giving these little things a chance. Very happy to say, well done, Comica. And speaking of like Comica, thank you, Comica, for sending me this set. You sent me £145 worth of microphones, so thank you. And you've been like a pleasure to deal with. And I like to mention this stuff because if you're nice and you communicate well and you're friendly and you're helpful, I do take it into account in my reviews, and I want people to know as well that they're not just dealing with just a faceless, nameless corporation who doesn't care. Like when I have a good experience with a person, like a representative of a company, I like to let you guys know. Leah from Comica, like, pleasure to deal with you. Thank you for being so helpful. Thank you for sending this kit to me, and thank you all for watching. Take care, stay curious, and back around. Guys, I really think Comica's trying to tell us something. It looks like a normal string, right? Look a bit closer.